Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Dale with Realvolve and really excited. We've got a whole panel of folks joining us today. So first and foremost, we have Nate Martinez, and from his team joining us is Kristine Seemiller, and they are in Scottsdale area. They're with Remax. Nate is a broker owner and a team leader out there. And then I also have from Realvolve, Emily Magana. She's our head workflow strategist, been with us, I guess, for a little over a year now. But she was using Realvolve long before that, helping her clients as a virtual assistant and transaction coordinator for I don't know, half a dozen people or so, half a dozen teams at a time. And so before I bring everybody in here and introduce them, I just want to lay out what we're going to be talking about today. So we launched a program a year ago called our Workflow Strategy Program, and based on all the lessons we've learned, we've revamped that into what we're now calling our Navigator program. But we wanted to bring on Nate to talk about how this program has worked for him in his business, some other things that he might share with you about how they're using technology and CRMs to help them stay organized and help them grow. And so without further ado, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Nate, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to us, because I could do a bad job at it, but I think we'd rather hear from you. Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, I've been in the business now for 33 years, and I've been with Remax since 1991, so I don't move around a lot. Opened up our office on September 11th, 2001, which is a day we could all remember, but it wasn't a day to remember for us opening, but it was an interesting start. And I've used several CRMs going back for probably 30 years. And I've had a team for probably about 25 of the last 33 years. So,
wow,
really excited to be using the Realvolve system. And I'll let Kristine introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Kristine Seemiller, and I'm on Nate's team. I'm the transaction coordinator for the team. Kind of call myself the air traffic controller, keeping track of all these parts. And we've started using the Realvolve system to help us with that.
Fantastic. And then Emily, why don't you give us a brief introduction?
Yeah, so I was a longtime customer before I was an employee here. I started with my sister's real estate agent who just needed help in the administrative side of her business so that she could be out on the road doing what real estate agents need to do, which is list and sell homes. So she really taught me real estate from the ground up. And once I started supporting her more with the listing coordinations, transactions, coordinations, we were using 8 platforms, and I couldn't learn any of them well enough to really do my job well. So I went on the hunt to try to find one place to organize her, and stumbled on Realvolve. Just in all of my demos of all the competitors that were out there, I settled on Realvolve because of, like I said, that one-stop place for her. And then word got out, her friend hired me and her friend heard about me. And then before I knew it, I was getting referrals from you guys too. So ended up with this awesome virtual assistant company that kind of grew from there, supporting at the peak, I think I had 12 full-time agents all across the country. And can't imagine doing that without systems and processes to help me keep on my head straight.
Yeah, that's funny. We've heard a lot of transaction coordinators that are able to support crazy volumes. I mean, 200 transactions a year and things like that, because they really have their Realvolve system tight, and it enables them to do so much more. So Emily, talk to me a little bit about, I mean, we already had Realvolve in place before you and I even met. You were using Realvolve. That's how we were introduced. We started hearing things about you in our Facebook community, and you sent us a few emails, and I was always really impressed with you from the beginning. And then we recruited you to give up on your private business and join us and help us grow here. So tell me a little bit about the process of creating this workflow strategy program. I mean, why did we do that in the first place?
Yeah, so it was actually myself and Carrie. Carrie Phillips is the other founding person with this department. And both of us really struggled to find a way to make it nationally applicable. We knew what it did for our businesses. Carrie also had a virtual assistant company. So we knew what it was capable of doing, but making that more accessible to the masses, right? Because not everyone can afford to hire us as a one-on-one. And so we took really what we knew we did in our virtual assistant company and made it a curriculum to follow, a program to develop. And we've really had awesome success with it. I think we've up to 140 agents that have gone through, which is crazy to me in just the past year.
Mostly teams, right? So like 140 teams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Nate, I guess I met you. I can't remember if you and I met at R4 the first time we met, or if it was at a Workman Success.
I think we briefly talked at R4, and then we spent some more time at the Workman Success here in Scottsdale.
Yeah. So talk to me about, I mean, what were you guys using in your business before, and you may still be using some things?
Yeah, over the years, I've had several different CRMs. The last one that really wasn't a CRM, but we were using RealPro, and RealPro did have a back-end database to the front-end websites. And we were probably on that platform for maybe 10, 12, maybe even 15 years. But it did, the CRM model in that software wasn't growing. The company was sold multiple times, and they seemed like whoever bought it never developed it where it needed to get to. So I had been in search of a website, and I looked at a lot. I looked at quite a few, and because I had to, with all the interlopers we have in Phoenix with Zillow, Opendoor, and all these companies buying, it was very clear that I had to get very clear and deep with my client database again. We've always been in touch with them. We mail to them once a month. We have client events, but to really get in and get our database cleaned up, and because that's where the gold is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I landed on Realvolve for that particular reason, and probably the biggest reason that I selected Realvolve. The software was cool, but when you have a team and you have a 33-year business and 6,000 past clients and a database of over 10,000 people in it, it's like, how do you move that, right? And I think because when I bought the software, I bought the package of Emily, right?
Mm-hmm.
I probably, and I think anybody in my shoes, it's very hard to move your CRM from point A to point B because there are so many moving parts. My team, even though we're small but mighty, and Kristine is really the only admin person I have, it would be impossible for me to say, because I would just delegate it to her anyway, like I did this whole process. She wouldn't have the bandwidth without Emily there, and both of them working tirelessly to get us up and running. So I think that for big teams, I think that's important. You just can't move your CRM overnight.
Yeah, and that really gets to the heart of what we're trying to accomplish here, because we're the CRM experts, you're the real estate experts, and every real estate team is run a little bit differently, and we appreciate that here at Realvolve. And we wanted to try to create a program that helps folks like you that don't have a dedicated person to be moving stuff around, and frankly, to be investing in things that are going to pay off in a year or two. It's really difficult for you to find the time to invest in something that's never going to pay off this year. So I remember when you and I first spoke, and by the way, what I should say about Nate and his team is that I have heard so many good things about you and your team from so many other people, and even to this day, I still keep hearing things from people about you guys, how you run your team, the quality people that you have on your team, the depth of knowledge that you have. And I know, Nate, that you're involved in coaching programs, and you're just a wealth of, as a matter of fact, I was looking you up on YouTube the other day and saw you on Fox Business News as a real... Yeah, but as a real estate expert, they brought you on Fox Business News. And so I really respect what you guys do and who you are, and how you deal with us. And even when there's challenges, we work through them. And what I wanted to say was that somebody else referred you to us, and you still weren't comfortable until we talked about the workflow strategy program. I think you alluded to that, that just the fact that you had to move everything. I mean, you kind of know what's involved in moving 10,000 contacts.
Yeah, it was, and that was Jackie. She kept talking to me. The fact of a move, it's a big move, right? And I was really preparing to launch into the Remax platform, and I thought that was going to be delivered early. So I hired a virtual assistant to scrub my current database, get it all into a spreadsheet, and then I was just ahead of the curve. I thought alpha and beta meant that I could put my data in there. That wasn't true. So, I had the data ready and I was ready to go, and your product, was the one that I chose. And so we launched, and we still don't have the whole team involved in it because most of the buyer's agents are working off of a Boomtown type platform. Mm-hmm. And because of the search engine that they have, for the consumers to come and go. So once we get something in escrow, we're doing pretty well with that in our past client database. We're building that up and trying to get, trying to work through, have a virtual assistant in the Philippines that goes through every one of the records and just, updating them, making sure that people are at those addresses and kind of doing a good quality control, as well as Kristine and I. Literally I'm probably even premature, but that's just the way I act. We just go, and we started using the workflows that Emily and Kristine built, and then we'd find bugs along the way, and we just fix them, right? And you don't really know how it's going to all flow until you get into it. And hats off to Emily, because whenever we had a challenge, we'd reach out to her and she would fix it. A simple example is, there was every time we go on a listing appointment, we have a gift delivered to the homeowner the next day. Mm-hmm. And it was always, the way we set it up originally was it was going to just the mail, the first name in the database, or just one name in the database, we'll put it that way. And a quick email to her within 24 hours. It was something that kind of slipped through us, I guess, and how it was programmed. It was fixed. And I think that speaks a lot to your guys' service level and being able to support a crazy realtor like me coming up with all these ideas, So,
yeah. So, Kristine, what kind of stuff were you using before in terms of a lot of the project management, the transaction coordination, all that kind of stuff that you're doing? What type of a technology stack did you have supporting you?
I didn't have a whole lot of technology per se. It was mostly just checklists and memory and things of that nature. So it really wasn't great. We did have some programs in RealPro, but I had not really utilized them a lot. We kind of came from the REO world. I did anyway, and then moved into the traditional real estate. So I just kind of flew by the seat of my pants, if you will. So that wasn't a very good way to do it. But I just had checklists. And so when Realvolve came along, it was really nice to be able to put things into workflows and get sequences going and making sure that our customer service level was the same on every transaction. And that's been terrific for me.
And then how many different workflows are you using on a regular basis?
I use probably at least 4 on a regular basis that I'm really comfortable with and have really built out for me, for what I do.
And what are those 4?
Would be like the seller's contract to close, the buyer's contract to close. Those I use are my most exclusive ones. Of course, the past client workflows we use a lot, and review workflows would probably be the 4 main ones that I use the most.
And
we
how
actually use the listing workflows as well.
Listing workflows.
So how, because you mentioned that especially the buyer's agents, they're still using Boomtown. And we have a lot of teams that are like that, by the way. I mean, they're either using Sync or Boomtown or something like that for their website platform. Buyer's agents are using that heavily. And then when somebody becomes a client, there's the workflows for listings and for buyers, especially in the contract to close. And then for past client follow-up, that's all on the Realvolve side. And so once a client becomes a client, they go to Realvolve and they stay there forever. And that's just the standalone CRM, how you manage those relationships and wow your customers with your customer service. So how is the rest of the team involved, if at all? I mean, what do they see from their end when they're not even logging to Realvolve?
I would say that they haven't been real active, because they're just, they're overwhelmed. We do have we're using Zillow. We're using, we don't do a lot of lead gen through Boomtown, but some of our stuff it was importing automatically in there. We haven't moved the automatic imports into Realvolve yet. from our different lead sources.
Are they included? Are the agents included in some of the transaction coordination automation that's happening?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I think their to-dos would be pushed out of there, and mostly I would imagine by email.
Email,
Now,
text.
yeah. Now, Kristine would probably know better than I. I know what I receive from Kristine. I imagine they're receiving the same type of stuff from Kristine. And I think Brandy is probably working on Realvolve, and we have I guess we're kind of almost protective too, because we actually have probably 3, let's call them rookie agents that are just trying to figure out how to get by with the current system they have, and then getting them to work 2 systems is really difficult to work 2 systems.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be notes in one and not notes in the other, and it's difficult. My goal one day is to be all on one platform, but that may or may never happen with a website on another platform.
Yeah, that's a challenge. I mean, there are so many systems out there, and a lot of them do one thing really well. And of course, we would love to wave our magic wand and be perfect at everything. But we recognize right now there's no way we're going to compete with Boomtown on how they deliver their websites, and we're not even trying at this point. So talk to me a little bit about what was the process like getting started? I mean, what were the first few calls like working with Emily?
Well, and Kristine, I'll let you jump in. I talk a lot, but for me to see the entire agile and sprints that you guys had set up blew me away. I mean, one thing we teach at Workman Success is using agile and sprint, and I love that process. And when I got to see it, and I know it comes out of the software world, it's not a normal real estate activity, but to see it in place and see all the thought in there, for a guy like me, I usually trust people and I let it go, right? So pretty much, even though I was on some of the calls giving my 2 cents, it was Kristine and Emily that literally were working back and forth tirelessly to build something that I could put my seal of approval on. And Kristine, how do you answer that question?
When we first began, I think Emily had told me later that we kind of did it backwards, and we jumped right in the deep end, and we just started going, and I used mostly the seller transaction to close. So we kind of started there and worked our way backwards. So it was funny because as we went along, Emily kept saying, we're really doing this kind of backwards. This isn't the way it normally, but it worked for us because it really put me, in the process. I was able to really figure out how it works. And now I feel very comfortable going in and changing workflows and changing templates and doing those things. At first, it might have been a little bit overwhelming, but that's just kind of the way we roll around here. We just jump right in and get it done. And that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
The moral of our department is don't put a real person on a workflow until you put it on yourself first. And he's like, start workflows. I was like, all right, let's just do it. We're all in. So now we got to make sure it's good. Because there's actual real people on them.
Yeah, and
fire, right?
And I think again, I've always been the type that I'm not a ready, aim, fire type of guy. I'm just ready, fire. So sometimes we might be a little too aggressive of launching something, but as you launch it, that's really how it starts to work, right?
You can refine it a lot more quickly. You learn all the lessons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get it out there, and. It's I only use, to be quite honest with you, the workflow that I use is the pre-listing workflow. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely love it. And I think listing agents will appreciate this. If you're very systemized, you know what I'm talking about. But if you struggle to have your systems in place, for me, sometimes I get so many listing opportunities, I wouldn't do a good job of follow-up, right? So we built this workflow that as soon as I get the lead, I can put the date in there. It automatically will put on my calendar the appointment. It'll send out an email to the seller with an appointment reminder. It tells me to do all the things. I was trying to create all the steps so anybody on my team would do the same job I would do. So it's McDonaldized, right?
Yep.
And I just love that process because it takes me through It reminds me, yeah, you went on a listing appointment, you didn't get it. You need to follow up because they haven't hired anybody yet. And, some people take, a month to make a decision to list. And you can get so busy in your day-to-day business, having a workflow there that kind of takes you through. And, it alerts Kristine that I went on the appointment. It alerts our florist to send out the floral arrangement, thanking them for the appointment. It's all done. And, before I would have to call Kristine. Hey, Kristine, I went on a listing appointment, send the flowers, and then she would have to call the florist and, and now it's just all done. So that's just a very small portion of the program or of a workflow. And then, just making sure our client database and, we sell 180 homes a year, but we're not getting 180 reviews a year, right? And so, we got a system in place, and once we close that, we have, I think it's three emails, 3 reminders for reviews, and we're trying to do a little bit better at trying to get more people to review us. So again, just having all these systems working for us, because Kristine and I pretty much represent probably 80% of the business our team does. And so we pretty much are rocking, the listing department is really dialed in, our buyer department needs a little bit of a boost. And they're doing good, but they should be doing twice as much as what the listing department's doing.
Well, the thing that I love about how you guys are approaching it, because you have these additional things that you want to happen on every deal. So every listing appointment, there's some above and beyond things that you want to happen. But if those things don't happen, for example, if the flowers don't get sent, it's not like those homeowners that you met on your listing appointment are going to be calling you, hounding you, wondering where their flowers are. It's something they're not expecting. And so the accountability is only coming from you, from yourself. Now, once you have a buyer client or you have a listing, you better believe that your clients are going to be chasing you down if they don't hear from you. And so with all of these things, that there's no built-in accountability in the relationship to ask them for a review, to send them the flowers. And that's what you guys are using Realvolve to help you remember. And we talk to so many agents that are doing 100+ transactions a year that they think they're just, before they stop and think about it, they just feel like they're doing a really good job at everything. But I think when you slow down and think about all of these extra things, there might be 10 or 15 things that if you did, it's not that hard to do, but if you did it consistently, would really add up to a much better business in the long run. That's what Realvolve is so good at.
Yeah, I think it's a compound effect, right?
Yeah.
It's all the little things over time are going to make a big difference.
Yeah, 100%. So, and by the way, you mentioned earlier the agile stuff, and for those that don't know, it's simply a project management framework. And I know Workman uses that framework to help just get anything done in the business. And here at Realvolve, we use it for our product development. We're also using something very similar. There's 2 forms, Scrum and Kanban, and we're using both of those in our business to help get things done. And there's a reason why Nate and I both hire people like Kristine and Emily, because they're really good at the organization side. I'm the same way as you, Nate. I'm ready, fire, aim. And that's why we have people like Emily doing what they're doing, so that they can, they can really just help us improve our business through this detail-oriented process that they go through. And the Navigator program is just the culmination of all of the hard lessons that we've learned over the years from lots of, thousands of teams. So,
If I could jump in here real quick
Sure.
and just state something, it would have probably been impossible, not impossible, it just would have been harder, right? It would have been harder for me to go out and hire a full-time person off the streets to add to our team, to train them to do what we did in a very short order, I would say. When you have somebody that's an expert like Emily, really taking you through, we told her what our goals were and what we wanted to do, and she took us through. I couldn't have done that, right? I couldn't have hired an employee locally to do what we did. And I don't know how many days we went. I know we went a little bit longer than the program, but you guys extended it and we got it done and it worked out. But I don't think we would have been as far along as we are now at all. I mean, it probably would have I might have had to go through 2 employees before I found somebody that could get it done. And then you get frustrated and you decide, and you never get it done, right? And I think what we have we have a great framework to run our business for the next couple of years without any changes or additional workflows. We haven't even touched all the workflows we built. So.
Well, and I know we're right in the middle of the busy season right now, as of the time we're recording this here. But Kristine, are you building workflows now, or do you have some planned? What's the update on the workflows?
Right now the workflows that we have in place, I've found to be really quite competent for what we need. I mean, we really kind of went through it, didn't we, Emily? There was no stone unturned with our efforts. So yeah, I'm pretty good right at the moment. I know that I tweak them a lot. I go in and I move them around. I find some things work, some things don't. And that's easy enough to do. So right now I'm pretty good.
And I'll say too, that's one of the things I loved with working with Nate and Kristine is that they were so detail oriented. So we found ourselves often like just brainstorming together, like here's what Nate wanted and here's what I knew Realvolve could do that he wouldn't even thought about because he didn't know the potential, right? So what he thought, this whole florist thing, I always go back to the florist because I feel like I know her with all of that we've done with her. But it's like, thinking that literally saying you went to an appointment could then have such a huge impact in not only Kristine's life and Nate's life, the sellers they interviewed with, the florist is now easy to following the same email over and over again. She just processes it, and that was like a 20-minute conversation to spitball it out. And then it's like, how many hours of your life do you get back, right? Thinking through all that automation aspect, things that used to just suck up time in your day.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to somebody that is maybe going to switch their CRM, thinking about getting better at their automation and their customer service? What would you say to them, Nate?
Well, I think I would definitely look at Realvolve if you haven't already. The process is a very difficult process, but they made it easy. And again, being in business as long as I have, I've been through half a dozen at least CRM changes, and it's difficult. And most of us will continue using the same CRM because it's too much work to move. The move to Realvolve was not that difficult. It's a bit overwhelming, but I think the way that you guys are analytical thinkers, so you can kind of take what we have as this big mess, and you guys can look at it and say, okay, this is how we process it. So if you're a team, just appoint somebody, a team leader, appoint somebody, the most competent person, and put them in touch with the Navigator system and let them build it for you and stay out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at a business like yours and we look at a database like yours, it doesn't look like a mess. It looks like a lot of opportunity for growth. It looks like a really good business that could grow even more. Mm-hmm. So go ahead. Were you going to say something else?
I was just going to say, we're pretty blessed to think that almost every week the phone rings with somebody just giving us business, right? I'm exactly the opposite of what everybody tells you to do. I don't prospect. I don't knock on doors. I don't cold call. I just basically work my database. In my database, we do a little direct mail to a couple markets. Outside of that, our business is pretty much answering the phone with people calling us and in relationships. And, I guess if we looked at the last couple of weeks, every deal that we closed this week, which was 3 big ones, were all, basically referrals or past clients, and that's what we moved to. I love the dashboard and if you looked at my dashboard, half of it is all past clients, but it's still not all organized yet because we still have so many leads to go through and make sure that they have the right. When you bring in all these people, they weren't all coded properly when they came in. So going back through each one of them, I can't wait till I get the database as close to perfect. You really see how the volumes are changing. Mm-hmm. Business is coming from. We've always done a good job of tracking, and your system does a good job of tracking. I do like the dashboard on there. that shows how much everybody on the team's earned and their production and units. It's a really nice little scoreboard there.
Yeah, and we've got some other really good things coming for team leaders just like you. I mean, there's lots of feedback that we've gotten. That's one of the great things about working with somebody like you and your team, Nate and Kristine, is because you guys give us lots of feedback. We really take it to heart. We wish we could get 20 times the amount of things done that we do, but we do take it to heart, and we're always trying to evolve just like you are. So I just want to wrap it up today by first of all saying thank you so much, Nate and Kristine, for sharing your time with us today. We really appreciate it. You didn't have to do this. I'm not paying you a dime for it, and I appreciate it, but we would love to, yeah, we're taking back the money that we promised you. I would love to follow up with you guys afterward and see what we can do. If there's anything we can do to help you guys, give you a couple more calls, go through and clean something else for you. We'd love to follow up with you and make sure that happens. And then I just wanted to say, for those joining, if you are thinking about switching CRMs, if you need something to help you elevate your level of customer service, the level of organization, the execution on your team, we would love to have a quick conversation with you about our Navigator program and about our CRM and workflow program. We have set out to build the best tool for saving time in the real estate industry, and I think we're getting close. So reach out to us and let us know if you're interested in having a conversation. We have, 6 or 7 workflow strategists, so there's only a limited number of seats. And so if you're interested, reach out to us right now. It's a good time. I know that it's the busy season, but I promise we can add a ton of value and help you elevate your game even now without taking up all of your team's time. So reach out and let us know. Any final comments, Nate, Kristine, Emily?
Ladies?
I just love the whole process, actually, and I really enjoy working with Emily. She was the best, honestly, just terrific, and it's a great system.
Thank you, Kristine. Emily?
Yeah, no, I would say, honestly, the biggest perk in my job here is getting these moments, right, where I know that Nate is better after having had time with us. His team is more organized, their processes, procedures, like that's what it's all about, right? Is getting back time that everyone needs back in their day and helping people to get those systems in place that really give it back to them. That's awesome.
And one thing I love is that we get better after dealing with people like Nate and Kristine. So we're always learning and we're always refining our process. It's never stagnant. There's always this feedback loop that we just continue to go through and refine and make better and better. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for your time. Let us know if you'd like to have a quick conversation with one of our representatives to talk about the Navigator program, and we will see you on the next one. Bye for now.